Courier-Post. Talk a little high school football. Good morning, Kevin.
Morning, Sully. How are you today?
Pretty good, man. A lot of great football going on, as I'm sure you saw last night with Lenape, Rancocas Valley. We talked about Lenape last week as being one of those teams to keep your eye on. Give us some of your thoughts on last night's game.
Yeah, last night's game was one of the best games I've seen this season. And, some early scoring. Lenape marches down the field, gets a field goal to start. RV responds, gets a touchdown, take a lead, and then from that point until the fourth quarter, defense has just dominated the game. And then at that point, fourth quarter was really, in retrospect, was a great quarter. You're sitting there watching the game and you're kind of taking notes, and I guess you're not really thinking about what's going on. But looking back on it, there were four solid possessions in the fourth quarter where both teams scored, or there was a turnover that proved to be a significant mistake. So a very, very entertaining football game. Lenape comes back, minute 23 left. RV had gone up on them by 3, and the crowd's going kind of nuts, and you're thinking, all right, well, RV's going to pull out this win. There's not much time left, but first play, Matt LaJoy slips a tackle. He's just about ready to be sacked. He slips away, unloads a pass 67 yards to Jake Topolsky, and now all of a sudden Lenape's got himself a win. So a very entertaining game. Both teams extremely, extremely well disciplined for the most part, and they both showed that this game will loom large come tournament time for both teams, because both teams battled right to the final seconds, and it was probably the most entertaining game I've seen this season.
Kevin, give me some of your thoughts real quick on the West Jersey Football League. I don't think anybody was really exactly sure how it was going to work out, this giant super conference, 95 teams. We knew there was going to be some good games on the schedule, but I think so far it's been a resounding success. I mean, you're seeing outstanding matchups every week, a lot of excitement around South Jersey football.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it in the past, but the big thing was when the Cape and the Colonial Conference joined the league, it goes to 95 teams, it goes to 16 divisions, and at this point, when the schedule comes out, not only do you have teams that have struggled in the past have games that should be more competitive than the blowouts that they were suffering in their leagues, but you get crossover games that presented very intriguing matchups and opportunities for really good games during the regular season, in that crossover fashion. So, the main goal of the West Jersey Football League from the very start was to give every team in its league a complete 9-game schedule. And obviously that has taken place. And on top of that, it's provided an opportunity to play teams of similar strength. And in my opinion, the West Jersey Football League, in its very, very short lifespan, has done tremendous job for South Jersey high school football.
Yeah, and a lot of these teams are really going to be tested by the time the playoffs come around. Teams such as St. Joe, St. Augustine, even a team like Cedar Creek, they're really going to have some tough games, and that's going to pay off for them down the road as they face tougher playoff opponents. So I think in that respect, it's great. You get these teams playing top quality opponents here in late September, early October, and it really gets them ready for the type of football they're going to see in the postseason.
Yeah, in the past, I think that there's been times where you've had some teams that'll come into the tournament maybe undefeated, maybe one loss, and then they go up against a team. That was from a different league, and all of a sudden, you look back and maybe they were a product of their schedule and some of the weaker teams that they had played in their own league. No disrespect to those teams, and you can only play the schedule that you're given. But with the West Jersey Football League, now you're going to have teams that, okay, well, we may have 2 losses in the playoffs. We may even have 3 losses. But you know what? We've played more competitive teams, and we've grown as a football team that much more. And I think it's a benefit. It may be a benefit to have 3 losses against 3 top quality teams than to come into the playoffs riding an undefeated streak or a 1-loss record and not having played the same level of competition and bounced in the first round. So, like we said, the West Jersey Football League has really done a nice job in kind of setting the table for what the late into November and the first week of December will present.
Yeah, we kind of saw something similar to that last year with Toms River North. I don't think anybody really gave them a shot to win that South Jersey section last year. They come out and win it, but they played a really good schedule in the shore conference, and that's sort of what the West Jersey Football League has become on an even bigger level. Shore conference has whatever it is, 6 divisions, and those upper level teams play a lot of really good teams throughout the year. So they're generally playoff tested when they start getting into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think that's the point you hit on. These teams, will be tested, come that first round of the tournament.
Kevin, maybe a team we haven't really talked too much about, but we probably should, is Cherokee. They went in and took down Hamilton 37-7 last night. So they're a squad that's 2-2, but could they be a team that makes a little bit of a run here in October?
Cherokee is a team that you can never count out, no matter, how many losses they may have. If they had suffered a third loss to start the season, 0-3, then they would have probably really been in some serious trouble. But, here's a team right now that's, they have 2 losses, but they're playing extremely well, and they're getting better each week. And those 2 losses are against some pretty decent teams. So Cherokee is a team that, will be in the mix in South Jersey 5, and as a team you can never take out of consideration. Jonathan Lovett had a monster game last night against Hamilton. That was a game that Cherokee needed to win to kind of keep things going, kind of continue the momentum and the confidence level. And on the flip side, you look at a Hamilton team now that is without Malachi Winters and a couple other kids due to injury, and obviously they're suffering because of that. So, if those guys are healthy and they play, maybe it's not a 30-point ball game, but Cherokee right now, I would not bet against the Cherokee team at this point.
Talking with Kevin Minnick of the Courier-Post. Kevin, I'm going to test your South Jersey knowledge here a little bit. You're much more knowledgeable than I am about the entire South Jersey and the football that goes on around here. Give us a team or two that maybe saved their season last night. A lot of these teams came in with maybe a 2-1 record, a 1-2, 1-3, that kind of situation where they had to win this week to give themselves any kind of chance to make the playoffs.
Wow, that is your curveball of the week for me.
Hey, man, I always come with a good one.
Curveball of the week.
We saw down here in the Northfield area where the studio is, and I cover a lot of Cape Atlantic League teams. Absegami really kind of saved their season last night with a win over Ocean City. Now they have a game they can win next week against Triton, go into a bye. They could go into the bye 4-2 and really set themselves up for a playoff berth. Is there anybody maybe in Camden County, Gloucester County that really saved their season last night?
I just did a quick scan of the results from last night, and I don't necessarily think there's any team that may have saved their season. Potentially a team like a Seneca. Seneca goes and wins at Winslow Township by a touchdown. I think you have a Clearview team that's now 4-1, but they host Paul VI. They beat them 41-14. And that's a W that I think in their group, that's a game that they had to win to kind of keep things going. So as far as teams saving their season, to be honest with you, I don't think that many teams were in that position last night. I think as we get a little bit deeper, maybe within the next 2 weeks, that's probably a scenario that will pop up. But as far as last night's concerned, I think the teams that were expected to win probably did win. And, I really don't see any team right now that maybe had saved their season to this point.
Kevin, are you going to take the drive down to Absecon next Friday night and check out Prep versus Holy Spirit?
That's to be determined. I'm not really set on the schedule right now. We do have a big game. There is another big game, up in Camden County next week with Shawnee going to Camden Catholic.
Nice.
That's a huge game.
Yeah, definitely.
And when you look at the schedule, in all honesty, we try to plan ahead as much as we can. and we try to go a week or two in advance to try to get an idea of what we're going to do and map things out. But then the weekend comes and teams win games, and now all of a sudden the following week presents itself a whole new scenario. So I think there's going to be some big games on the schedule next week, and clearly St. Augustine Holy Spirit, is going to be one of the bigger games in South Jersey next week, when you're going to have these two undefeated teams clash, two rivals, two Old Cal teams, and two teams featuring some pretty dominating running backs. Reggie Jean Charles with another monster game last night, and obviously Kyle Dobbins, we've talked about quite a bit from St. Augustine. So I think there'll be a lot of talk about this game leading up to it next Friday night, and that place will be packed down there at Absecon, I'm sure, and I expect a pretty good football game.
Now, Kevin, let me ask you this: the guys on your staff, do they kind of lobby for games they want to cover? How does that work out with you guys? Or do you just kind of tell them, hey, you're going to this game, you go to that game?
Well, in all honesty, I have seniority, so I generally cover what we consider to be our game of the week. And then Mark Tribble, who will continue the conversation with you, I think, in a little bit, he'll pick up what we call our second best game. And then on top of that, we have a guy by the name of Josh Friedman who we hit 2 or 3 other games, and he does a video package. That
is really cool. And, I like what he's doing with that, the 2 minute drill or whatever it's called.
Yeah, we do the 2 minute drill, and Josh gets in the car and hits 3 schools in a span of 2 hours. He does a nice job of blending the highlights and getting the comments and the pageantry of the games. And on top of that, we kind of have what we may call maybe our third big game of the night, where we go out and we just send a photographer, and he puts together a video package from that night. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to hit as many games as we can. Obviously, you can't cover, in the traditional sense of covering a game with the limited staff that we have, and that basically every other media outlet really has. So we try to hit as much as we can. We present it on the web with our videos, and so far it's been very successful. And like I said, I'll usually cover the game of the week. I'll from time to time offer Mark an opportunity if he wants the game or not. But generally, we're covering the bigger games in South Jersey, and one just happens to be called the game of the week, and we kind of give that a little extra attention. So far so good, and obviously we look forward to more big games down the line.
Got to get Tom McGurk off the desk.
Well, it'd be nice.
Get him out there.
Hey, it would absolutely be great if we could get another guy off the desk and out covering a game. But obviously, given the way the staffs are set up and the way that we still have to produce a newspaper, and as far as the Courier and the Daily Journal out of Vineland, Friday nights are extremely difficult, and Fridays are really long days. Most of us don't leave the office until midnight, 1 in the morning, and that's starting potentially 11 o'clock in the morning those days as well. So Tom does a nice job of kind of leading the command center, getting everything organized and put together, and we kind of just fill in the gaps.
Well, tell Tom and Josh I said hello. We all used to work together down at the Daily Journal, and you guys are doing a great job. We appreciate you coming on board and keeping us filled in every week on the South Jersey football scene.
Hey, well, I enjoy getting up early, Sully, and talking to you a little high school football, and I know you throw me a curveball every week, and I know it's coming, but half the time it takes me a little while to adjust. So
I gotta keep you on your toes, man. You're the big dog over there.
I'm not going to let you strike me out. I'm going to figure a way to get that, to hit that curveball, at least get it out of the
at least foul it off, right?
There you go.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it as always, man. Have a good weekend.
Hey, we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, bud.
Thank you.
That was Kevin Minnick of the Courier-Post.